Welcome to True Talk on WMNF 88.5 with Ahmed and Samar. On today's program, we're going to be talking about, what else? The continuing genocide in Gaza, Trump's deportation of migrants, and his planned visit to the Middle East. Also, we'll have a special guest on, a filmmaker that will also be speaking to us. Samar and I will be having them on the program. So this is True Talk on WMNF. We'll be right back.
وبكيت لماما شو مات في الشمة شكون اللي بلانا فكرت أصحابي حبوا على خرابي عطيتهم مترابي فرشوش وكفرشنا زرابي عيب على روحي ما نعيبش على قرابي رقدت ونحلم وفكت نجري على سرابي وينك يا صحوبة وطلعوا ذيوبة وناس خوانا بيوسنا مقلوبة وطلب بالتوبة وأيام محسوبة والوقت يخذنا فكرت أيامي وقلت يا حسرة مخيب هالدنيا ومحلاها الدنيا بلا غسرة فكرت أيامي وقلت يا حسرة مخيب هالدنيا ومحلاها الدنيا بلا غسرة فحكيت لأمي ما وناس بالقيمة وعشرة قديمة وقلت يا حسرة رضيت والدينا وينك يا حنينة.
Welcome to True Talk on WMNF 88.5 with co-host Ahmed Bedier. My name is Ahmed Bedier. My co-host is Samar Jarrah, and she's joining me live remotely, not in the studio, but I am in the studio. We're using some communication software, which makes her sound like she's here, but really she's not here. But she is in Florida. Samar, welcome again. Well, okay, yeah. Sometimes with communication you have some problems. Samar, welcome again. Go ahead.
Thank you, Ahmed. Good to be on the show with you. We never run out of topics, Ahmed.
Yeah, what's new?
You know, in my wildest dreams, okay, like the wildest of my wildest dreams, I never thought I will put a like on a tweet by Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, how could she and the Council on American Islamic Relations CARE be unified on anything? Can't you? It's a different world that we are living in.
You're referring to the tweet that I think I also like that tweet. Which is...
I thought about it like for a long, long time.
Whether you should like it or not?
Yeah. You want to tell our listeners why? I think it has to do with House Resolution 867.
Right, so this House Resolution it's an absurd law, an absurd resolution that the House... This is how nutty and wacko this House is, and how so many of them are subservient to Israel. They wanted to introduce, there's already a law on the books to, somehow against boycotts. But now this was going to actually find people who participate in these boycotts somehow criminally liable. And they could face up to, 20 years in jail and up to $1 million fine, something like that?
Yeah. Imagine 20 years.
20 years in jail. Some rapists don't get 20 years in jail. But if you choose to exercise your constitutional right to free speech and to choose not to buy something, it's not like you're committing a crime. You're just saying, I don't want to buy things from, X country for whatever reason. I don't like their policies. You're going to get punished by $1 million fine, up to 20 years in jail, as if you killed somebody. That's ridiculous. And this was actually going to a vote, and it was going to be close. But people on the right, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, like the far right, I'm not talking about the middle. You had some Democrats and some Republicans that were actually supporting this, Of course, all of them being very loyal and very supportive of Netanyahu's government and Israel. And they wanted to pass this law to punish people that want to boycott the state of Israel or products coming from the state of Israel because, their ethics or morals doesn't allow them to, or for whatever reason. And they wanted to punish that. Did you see it the same way?
Yes, Ahmed, especially that when one time I was invited to give a speech about the Israeli lobby, I wanted to understand where did the idea of boycott start in America? And it actually started with the Black movement when blacks somewhere in the North had a lawsuit which the Supreme Court looked into it and said they have the right to boycott the transportation. I think they were boycotting the public transportation and calling for a boycott, which affected the income of this transportation. And there was a lawsuit and they won. Why? Because it's part of your freedom of speech and expression to eat what you want or not eat what you want, or spend your money wherever you want, as long as it's legal, or not spend it. And when you make a statement, for instance, let's say you are pro animals' life and you don't want to eat meat. So if you pursue this policy, that's part of your freedom of expression. So same thing with the blacks in America in the early 1960s, I think, or late 1850s. They won that they have the right to boycott whatever public transportation because of discrimination against their color or ethnicity.
It's such an obvious common sense thing. Like, you don't even need, it's crazy.
But at least there is a legal precedent in America.
Right.
That supports it. So let me quote Ahmed what she wrote, because that's where I I took a breath and said,
yeah, now you're referring to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a huge Trump supporter. She's so far on the right. She's hated by people on the left. But in this situation, yeah, she's even Islamophobic. But even in this situation, she's saying, you know what? Free speech is more important. Go ahead. What did she say?
That's a quotation. It's my job to defend Americans' rights to buy or boycott whomever they choose without the government harshly fining them or imprisoning them. That's what she said, I think.
She also made other tweets. I don't know if it's the same tweet that I also somehow liked. It's when somebody that you don't agree with on so many things and they say something you agree with, you kind of hesitate whether you should or not. But hey, the reality is if you agree with that, even if somebody like that with those policies is saying the right thing, I think you should support it, because it's unfathomable that you've got people within the Democratic Party that are saying the opposite, that somehow, no, it would be anti-Semitic to boycott Israel products. No, it's not anti-Semitic. People are choosing. It's a free market. I mean, you can't force people to buy stuff. But she also said that she did not sign up to go to war, and she does not think that the U.S. should go to war with Iran on behalf of another country. And of course, she's referring to Israel.
Yes, she's, yes, she said that. And she also was against Afghanistan. So she's saying that if this is about America first does not necessarily mean punishing Americans for taking a stand, not about America, but about another country. So they pulled it out. But these things do happen, because I think, Ahmed, I'm also reading here that Greg Abbott, who's the Texas governor, he's also a Republican, and he threatened the city of San Marcos that he will withhold some kind of funding if they pass a resolution that is critical of what is Israel doing to the people. And it's not like, what Israel, for instance, policy vis-a-vis Thailand, or vis-a-vis the environment, or vis-a-vis some kind of policy. No, the Americans are seeing the emaciated children and the body parts and the genocide that is going on in Gaza. They see it on Twitter and TikTok and some social media. So it's not like you're taking stand because you hate somebody. It's because you want to stop this massacre from continuing.
Yeah, but they keep depicting it somehow that they're boycotting because they hate Israel. It's not about hating Israel. And the same thing, they accuse the student protesters across campuses of the same thing, that they're calling, for the end of Israel, that they even twisted their words so far to say that they're calling for the genocide against Jews, when in reality they're calling to stop the genocide against the Palestinians. But somehow they keep twisting it around and say, no, this is anti-Semitic, an attack on the Jewish community. By the way, Samar, I'm looking at the TV right now, and that's playing in the background, and there's breaking news that white smoke has come out of the Vatican, and the cardinals elected a new pope. They haven't announced who it is yet, but people are celebrating there. The Pope is another story, that he was, maybe one of the most pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestine, pro-peace Pope in recent times. And did you see this report that he dedicated, or he wanted to give his Pope mobile to be used as some sort of to help within Gaza, to be like retrofitted to be as a mobile clinic?
Yes, Ahmed, I saw
that.
Is
that true?
Yeah, it is true, and I think it will be some of it will be done like locally in Italy, but it will be shipped to the West Bank, and I think later on they're gonna try and use it in Gaza because it's big car and it can transport. Yeah, it's a very big car.
I wonder if the Israelis bomb it like they bombed all these other ambulances, and one situation they even buried not just the people they killed in the ambulances, they buried the entire ambulance underground.
Yeah, I have no doubts, because the only thing that if you listen to their media, they label you as anti-Semite or a terrorist, and then why not just kill you? But I think, Ahmed, we're pleased to say that we have an interesting person with us today on the show. Her name is Arib Zaitar. And she is a director of an interesting movie, a documentary, and I think it just played here in the US. It's called Yalla Parkour. And Abir has an interesting background. I think she lived in different countries, one of them Saudi Arabia, where I also lived. So welcome to the show, Abir. Arib, sorry. Arib.
Ahlan, Samar. Hello, thank you for having me.
Is it Uraib or?
No,
Arib?
It's Arib actually, yes.
What does it mean?
Arib means unique. I was initially named Uraib, but I had an uncle who's very well informed about the Arabic language, and he said Uraib is not the correct pronunciation. It has to be Arib. So
interesting, because I know several Uraib and Arub, and this is the first Arib. Nice to be talking to you, Arib. I think you have an interesting background because you lived in different Arab countries, but you are originally Palestinian. How did you end up in the business of producing, writing and producing and directing documentaries?
It has been a really old dream of mine to be involved in cinema somehow. I've in Saudi, I grew up there in between the 80s and the 90s, and the most free space I found was in arts. And as I grew up and was admitted in the university, I went to Lebanon, and I had really a powerful skill of painting and drawing. And so I pursued interior architecture, and I took some electives in film, and I found it to be a space that really comprises many forms of art, including writing, painting, of course, painting with light, that's how we call it, and the visuals, the spectacles. So it was very interesting for me. I kept taking courses until I got another bachelor with film and video. And when I came to the US, I discovered the world of documentary. I did my master's in film and video here in American University. And the area of documentary was very playful. At the same time, it was very, you can discover many spaces, many worlds through documentary. So it really grabbed my interest, and I took that path moving forward. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about Yalla parkour. And for our listeners, they have heard the word Yalla before, but you can explain that. So what is Yalla? But parkour is a form of art or sport. If you can explain the name of your documentary, the most recent one, I think it was produced in 2024, and it's starting to show here in America.
Yeah, it was released in 2024. It released in Doc NYC. That was the first showing ever of the film. It happened in November 2024. That's why the film's date is, or year is 2024. And there it got the jury, the grand jury prize for international films, which was a really important milestone for the film. It was the film's first step in the world, and it was a solid step. To go back to your question, Yalla means come on in Arabic, or come, let's go. You know, it's a very, it's a word that conveys excitement about something. And parkour is a sport of jumping obstacles. There is a synonym to it, which is free running. And both words in the context of Gaza have a very significant meaning, I have to say. Jumping obstacles, back then, Gaza used to be all about obstacles. It was widely known as the world's largest prison. And free running, I mean, this sport is all about freedom. And watching people do that sport in a place deprived from its freedom was really significant for me. So that's all about the naming and why this sport and why the name all in all for the film.
How did you think of doing a documentary on this particular subject? And were you physically in Gaza? Like, how did this whole idea come to mind? Where were you physically at the time when you thought about it?
Yes, it was 2014. I was in the US already, and I gave birth to my youngest girl by then. And in that year specifically, one of the longest wars on Gaza was taking place. It was a 50-day war. And I mean, I was really hopeless and devastating following the news and looking at my very newborn girl, thinking, what kind of world did I bring her into? But then one video popped up on my YouTube feed, and it was of these parkour athletes flipping and laughing in front of a colossal bombing happening in the background. As they're treating the whole thing as if it's a bad joke. And it was really, I would say it was the catalyst. It really drew me towards wanting to communicate with them. And I ended up texting them on Messenger. One of the athletes was smiling at me through the camera, and his smile reminded me of my mom's. And I thought, maybe I need to speak to this guy. I texted them on Messenger, and then Ahmed was the one who picked up. He was the one who's responsible for their social media and communication. I asked him about Mohammed al-Jarrah, his name, this guy that I just described smiling through that video. And he told me that he already fled in Sweden. And that was the starting point of everything. From that moment on, I carried on the conversations with Ahmed. So, and eventually Ahmed ended up sending me, I say it this way, he sent me his life in a hard disk. And it was fascinating for me to discover this whole world through parkour. I was in Gaza only once in my life, and that was when I was 4 years old. For those who've watched the film, I'm going to throw a small spoiler. That was the moment when I was 4 years old. My mom took me to the sea. I mean, like you said in the introduction, I grew up in Saudi. And we would go and spend our summer visits in my hometown in Nablus, where families from both sides, like from my parents' side, my mom's side, were residing. And my uncle, who's my mother's brother, my mother's brother, was marrying a lady from Gaza. So we ended up going there for the wedding. And that was the first time I see my mother's smile meet with the sea. And it's a haunting memory for me. It's still there in my mind. It's a foggy memory. It takes me back to that place. Since then, I haven't visited Gaza again. And it has to do a lot with logistics, the situation there. And I ended up filming remotely. I knew a cinematographer who his name is Brahim Al-Utla. He's a very patient and talented cinematographer who's in Gaza, and I was working with him for my previous short film. And it was really a very a productive collaboration where he would really give me what I wanted. I would send him references, visual references. He would film. He would send me back what he filmed. I would tell him, please repeat this or repeat that. And I would speak with him about the tone and all of that. So he was my eyes in Gaza, if we can say it that way.
If you're just joining us, this is True Talk on WMNF 88.5 FM, and Ahmed and I are talking to Arib Zaiter, who I think you're visiting the US and showing the movie Yalla Parkour, which is a documentary. And I think, Ahmed, you have you have a segment. I know Ahmed doesn't want to play it because it's in Arabic, but Ahmed, maybe you can play a minute and then Arib can tell us what is going on. Do you want to play it? Ahmed?
Yeah, I'm playing it now, but you don't hear it.
Oh, sorry.
Just stand by.
وصلتك المادة ولا لا؟ شايفة كيف غزة عريف ها؟
بتجنن.
هذا أنا كطفل طبعا أنا لما بشوف واحد بيقلب هذا كأنه هذا إشي خارق.
ما كلكم شلة مجانين ما شاء الله.
هو كله هذا في سبيل الفيديو يا عريض. يشوف ممكن يجي لنا دعوة نطلع برا انه انا بدي اصير لاعب باركور محترف.
خلص كل واحد يرجع على حركته هالجيت عشان نحاول نكمل.
الحلم بالنسبة إلي كان إني أجي مكانك.
تيجي مكاني.
Okay, you're actually you're listening to a clip from a trailer called Yalla Parkour. Parkour being the this physical discipline, athletic training where people do. I guess they jump, they do somersaults, they do all these. Very risky things. It's pretty popular. It's a very kind of niche group, but they're in a way daredevils. They jump off buildings and they jump from building to building. They risk their lives. But it happens all over the world. But this is specifically, I guess, involving Palestinian young people. So the voices are in Arabic. Arib, can you describe, I guess, what a lot of these are a series of conversations over the phone or?
Yes, correct. I have to correct something that's been said. I'm not here in a visit in the US. I live in the US. And you see me in the film, I'm talking to Ahmed across the ocean. He's there introducing me in that trailer to the world of parkour and Gaza. And I mean, I would throw some comments about my reactions to what they're doing, these crazy jumps. And I mean, one of them is like doing this handstand over a fence of a really, if you watch the film, you'll see it. It's like an 11-story building, and he's doing his handstand at the edge of the roof. And you would see me also observing the current war, which is another element in the film. I mean, I've later on, I mean, I can say something small about that. I mean, later on in the process of the film, we've decided we're going to say the film from the present day, which was 2023, 2024 back then, and from the perspective of me observing the war and making it some sort of a letter to my deceased mom. So it's just us trying to summarize the film in this less than 2-minute video.
Right. Before you ran into or crossed path with Ahmed, the main character in this documentary, had you heard of parkour or this culture or this sport?
Not at all, to be honest. And I was really never interested in parkour on that sport. I've never followed it. I've discovered it through Ahmed and through this team. The whole thing was fascinating for me when I discovered that clip, and I started researching, and Ahmed gave me a much better perspective about it and what it means in Gaza. It started grabbing my attention from that particular video I described.
Now, parkour is already very challenging. I mean, if people are not familiar with it, they can Google or, watch videos on YouTube. A lot of times these young people, they have body cams or other people filming them. So it's already very risky. How was it different in Gaza to be, from your understanding, as far as doing parkour in Gaza?
I mean, it's funny because seeing Ahmed do parkour in Gaza and then seeing him doing it elsewhere, it loses its significance whenever you're not in Gaza, to be honest. Like I said at the beginning, it's a sport, or that it's a metaphor for freedom. Ahmed's friend Abdullah once said that whenever I jump, I feel I'm free. I'm in the air. I'm breathing. And when I land back on Earth, I look around me and I see the prison that I'm trapped in. So it has really a very deep meaning, deeper than just a sport that's challenging or being practiced. I have to say that if you see the film, you'll see these young men just cheering for each other endlessly. And it was very significant, especially when I was researching that footage that Ahmed sent me. You would hear them cheering for each other, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, endlessly until one of them does a jump. There was nobody who's teaching them how to do this sport. They taught it to themselves through YouTube, through encouraging each other. And this gives us a sense also of the community that lives there in Gaza, how much they're interconnected, they care about each other, and they really lovingly push each other to succeed in that specific case.
Right. And what about, because and part of this was filmed, or part of this was during the genocide in Gaza?
No, I mean the filming that happened after the or during the current genocide is whatever is filmed in my world. Me watching that footage, because, like I said, it was a late decision that I need to be there in the film and make it more of a letter to my mother. And that decision came from the team, and while we were working in the film after October 7th, we started losing crew, and we also lost one of the parkour members.
When you say losing, what do you mean?
They were killed and martyred. I mean,
so these were people that were featured in your film or involved in your film, and they were killed.
Yes. So we have, for example, one camera crew person, two camera crew persons who were initially journalists. You have Yasser Murtaja. He was killed in 2018 during the peaceful March of Return. And then we have Brahim Lafi, a part of the cinematography team. We have one of the sound team members who is Yasser Murtaja, Marwan al-Sawaf. And we have Rushdi Sarraj, also from the camera crew, who was initially a cinematographer. And then we also lost a parkour team member, Saeed al-Tatari. He was trying to help others from under the rubble, him and his brother, when another shelling happened, taking his life and his brother's life away. It was a devastating period when we started working on the post-production of the film. And that's when we felt it will be insensitive of us not to address what's going on currently. And when I was thinking of how to do that, the image of my mom kept popping up. She was somebody who would really react emotionally whenever something bad would happen in Palestine. And I was thinking, what would she have done if she were here with us and this whole thing was happening? And I thought I'll do the film more of a letter to her.
Why was that important to you?
It's more of, I didn't ask myself this question. It's important for me to address what's going on. It's important for me just because, all the losses that we experienced during the post-production, it will be really insensitive not to address that. At the same time, it's an intuitive feeling that my mother's journey resembles Ahmed's journey. She was somebody who grew up in Nablus. I would see her smile the widest in Nablus. And her smile for me is more of a metaphor for belonging. Whenever we went away to live our normal life in Saudi or elsewhere, I would see that smile fade away. So it's like I said, it's more intuitive than maybe a rational decision. I didn't really ask myself why, or it just came to me that it needs to be more of a letter to her. And this idea of belonging became the overarching theme of the film. It's where I feel I belong. Even my kids, they when you ask them, they say, I'm Palestinian, although they are 100% or 90%, if I won't be exaggerating,
Accurate.
American.
Mm-hmm. Now, where were you born?
I was born in Nablus, but I've never lived there. And the reason I was born, I think my mom wanted somebody to help her when she gave birth to me. So she went to her mom in Nablus.
And when did you leave, Palestine or the occupied territories?
Me? I've never lived there. I mean, I was born there, and then 2 months after the summer break was over, I guess my mom took me back to Saudi to join my dad.
Okay, so you were, she just went there to do the delivery, and then you left and you never but you've always identified as Palestinian. And I guess, my question, because you said that your children also identify as Palestinian, but not having to actually have lived there or grew up there. What does it feel like to be belonging to this community, but not actually being able to live there?
I think it's a very big question for me identifying this meaning of the meaning of this particular identity. I've lived throughout my life somewhere else. I used to go for really visits that impacted me in Palestine, and I would say what brings me to say I'm Palestinian is what I experience in Palestine from the family and the community, because that's really where I feel the warmth, the family. Everybody knows who I am. It's not something. It's not similar to wherever I lived elsewhere. I mean, here in the U.S., I feel I've built a very decent life, a very secure life with people I love. But it's when I used to go to Palestine, there is something that I cannot really describe that signifies to me that when I'm there, it's where I belong.
Mm-hmm. That's where you feel at home. That's where. But one thing that infuriates me, and you often hear this, it's even been repeated by the new U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, who says Palestine never existed. Palestinians don't exist. There's no such thing as a Palestinian, and they're just trying to erase the complete identity, history, culture of an entire population. It's a type of ethnic cleansing, and just to completely wipe away and not even recognize that these people exist or existed for centuries, to justify that this belongs to Israel and the Jewish people only. Samar, you had a question?
Yes, just reminding our listeners, we're talking to Arib Zaiter, who is the writer and director of a wonderful documentary, Yalla, Parkour. Arib wanted to know the reaction of Western audience to your documentary, and if you have any future plans for a new one.
I have to say, I've received very pleasant reactions from the Western audiences, these that I've interacted with across. I mean, the film had traveled really far. I didn't expect it to go that far, but the audience was very sympathetic, and they would have one of the best questions I always receive from the audience, and particularly in the West. I haven't screened much in the Arab region apart from Saudi. It only was screened in Saudi, so it was mainly screened in Europe, and in Far Asia, in Hong Kong. And one of the most wonderful questions I would always receive, how is the parkour team doing in Gaza? How are the people doing now in Gaza? How is Ahmed's family in Gaza? This tells you that people care, and they have sensed that human aspect in the film, and they do care about the people and their current situation there.
I want to thank you, Arif, very much for being on True Talk. And I hope our audience will be able to watch it. Where can they do that? I think it's in Arabic. Does it have... I think it does have subtitling in English. Where can they watch it?
The film is currently in its festival tour, so there is nowhere where they can watch it on demand. We're still looking for distributor here in the US, and we have a world sales company, Artwood, who is currently managing the distribution. But it's we hope to have an American distributor where we can have it screen in commercial cinemas sometime soon. But for now, it's still in its festival run, where the premiere status is always an issue. You know, each city, state, or they require premiere status for them to screen the film.
I want to thank you, Arib, very much for being on True Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for also your hosting this film and talking about it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Samar, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation, but I want to say that the breaking news is right now also, it's unrelated to our show, but the cardinals in the Vatican have chosen the new pope. And anytime soon, the new pope is going to emerge on the balcony, and that's when they're going to reveal his identity. Somebody messaged in and said via text message that he's 45 years old and was doing it since he was 14. I guess parkour, but he said back then it was called freestyle walking. Somebody else said that we should be careful not to, praise MTG, which is Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're getting the vibe that an enemy of my enemy is my friend. Was that the vibe you were giving, Samar?
No, not at all.
Are you a fan of MTG, as this person has texted?
No, I am not. And I told you I was extremely hesitant. Putting just a like for what she has said, but no, of course not.
And I said, let's not amplify the voices of people who hate us all. And she is a known anti-Semite. But we agree we shouldn't amplify. But I thought Samar was trying to point out that it was really interesting that somebody like her is actually saying for the Constitution purposes, this is wrong. And anti-Semites can get it right sometimes, I guess. That's what this shows. So, and I think people are referring to her being that that she could be anti-Semite because she voted against the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act because in it, it would have made it, quoting Bible verses that say, about the crucifixion of Jesus, that's somehow also anti-Semitic. I don't know if you remember that part, but anyway, we can get into that another time. Samar, what else did you, that's been going on in the news that you wanted to discuss? Because, Trump is about to go to the Middle East and collect some money.
Actually, his kids were able to secure billions of dollars of new buildings in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia. So they were already there before he went. But Ahmed, didn't he yesterday or the day before said there is something big, a big surprise, something good that he's gonna say about the Middle East before he leaves? And people were wondering, is it like Saudi Arabia and Israel starting some kind of diplomatic relations and ending the war in Gaza? And funny thing is that I was reading today on Twitter a translation of there is a Palestinian journalist. She lives in Israel and speaks Hebrew, and she said the media in Israel are saying not even Netanyahu knows what is this surprise. So I don't know if you can speculate, what could it be? What is
I
it?
don't know, but I know one surprise that has already been leaked or shared is that Trump is going to start calling the Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf. So just like he changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which when that happened, I don't know if I told you, but I shared with a bunch of people saying I think he got this idea from the UAE, who has been calling the Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf for some time. And now he's going to start calling the Persian Gulf, which is a body of water that basically separates the Gulf Arab nations from Iran on the other side.
Ahmed, I was born in Kuwait and I lived there until I was 12, then went to Lebanon, then went to Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. That's the only way they call that Gulf. They never say the Persian Gulf when we were in school.
So they also back then, but internationally on all the maps it says the Persian Gulf, but you're saying...
Not if you are in the Arab world. I'm not sure. I went to school in Egypt, and I think it was always Al-Khalij Al-Arabi. Al-Khalij Al-Arabi.
Okay. Well, hopefully he didn't change it to the Trump Gulf, the Gulf of Trump, because that would be the next thing with all the projects. The other thing that, that was in the news is that how Trump is profiting. And I just don't see how his party is allowing this to happen. Before he became president, he launched the official Trump cryptocurrency or coin. And it's a partnership between the Trump family and the Witkoff family. The son of Witkoff, the envoy to the Middle East.
Yeah.
His name is Zach Witkoff. Him and two of Trump's sons have this cryptocurrency type of coin that they launched, which is supposed to be pegged to the US dollar. So it's a little bit supposed to be more stable. And the thing is, and that's in addition to the Trump coin. It's kind of different, or separate. So there's a Trump official coin, and then there's another coin called, I forgot what it's called, something like USD1 stable coin. And the way that Trump family, including Trump, make money off the Trump coin, for example, is every time it's traded or there's a transaction, they get a small percentage. And since the coin was launched, I think they collected something like $75 million or more dollars just in fees. And then there was this talk recently that he was going to hold a special event at the White House for the top 200 and some Trump coin owners or people that hold the Trump coin, and that caused the coin to skyrocket because everybody wanted to be in that position so they can be at this special party. And every time that happens, he makes more money. His family makes more money. But in addition to that, the UAE just announced last week that they're going to invest something like $2 billion in Binance, which is a cryptocurrency exchange platform. However, they're not going to do it directly. They're going to do it through the USD1 stable coin, which is basically also owned by the Trump family, which will result in millions of dollars in profit for the Trump family and the Witkoff. So now you have Steve Witkoff's son and Donald Trump's son's companies are benefiting financially from these transactions. And they're making money off the White House and the Trump family.
Ahmed, there was a breaking news because Obama wore a light suit, and it was
the tan suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was breaking news. And then, of course, the whole thing about Hunter Biden and the Hunter Biden laptop and how the Biden family was corrupt and making so much money, that pales in comparison to this. I mean, and there's so many now, there was one guy, I think I was reading back to the stable. It's just, the more you dig, it's just ridiculous. A major investor from China named something, I think his last name is Sun, maybe John Sun. I have to confirm the first name, but definitely the last name is Sun. He had, with the launch of this company that Witkoff's son and Trump's son put together, I think it's called World Liberty something. He invested hundreds or millions of dollars, maybe $30 million. And he was under investigation by the SEC. After he invested this money with the Trump and Witkoff family, the SEC investigation ended. So did he, is that a form of a bribe? Is anyone even looking into it? Is there anyone left in the government that investigates and looks into these things? Will, the Pam Bondi DOJ or, the current FBI that's basically loyal to Trump, will they investigate the Trump family for these things? I doubt it.
I have no idea, Ahmed, but I'm looking at Twitter now and the feed. There is a discussion over a supposedly U.S.-Israeli plan to assign the distribution of limited aid in Gaza to international companies not organizations, like not humanitarian organizations, but international companies. One of them was just formed, by the way, in the US, and I tried to figure out who's behind
Maybe
it.
it's Trump Jr. What else?
No, I don't know why. I have a feeling it's Eric Prince and I don't know what's the new name for Blackwater. So I am reading here. It's a comment by a professor of law in Europe, says this is a calculated maneuver to repackage the siege. Like this is a repackaging of the siege that has been going on in Gaza to regulate starvation and weaponize food as a tool of subjugation and forced displacement. Because Ahmed, it's going to be based on calories. So if depending on weight, if my weight is 150 pounds, it means maybe I just need 2,000 calories. So they will give them 1,200.
But not only that, but if they go by current weight, everybody's already malnutrition. So everybody's already below their weight
and
by
it's not like
maybe 20%. So now you're going to give them even less than that. It's basically just barely surviving.
Yeah, so that's the plan, is to make them like this quotation, regulate starvation. So they will be starving, but not dying from starvation. And this plan is to be run by former U.S. military personnel. And if there is any need to consult with aid organizations, it's going to be under extremely tight surveillance. It will be, there will be like distribution centers, no involvement whatsoever of any Palestinians. And so Palestinians will not have any say. And what else? Let me see. So this is what they are planning. And there is famine, Ahmed, going on. People are running out of everything.
Right, but I wanted to also get your reaction before we end about the halt in fighting against the Houthis that Trump abruptly announced that they're no longer going to be bombing Yemen or the Houthis. And then we heard reports that he was under pressure by Saudi Arabia asking to stop bombing Yemen, especially ahead of his visit to Saudi Arabia, because that will be embarrassing to the Saudis.
Yes, and actually he praised them and praised their bravery. And you should see Twitter in Arabic saying, "Oh, what the heck did
he
they?"
He did like a 180. He was like attacking them, and then he says, "Oh, they're brave people."
Oh my gosh, the jokes. And the Yemenis are just running with it. See, we told you we can subjugate the most powerful country in the world. So
they look like heroes now in the Middle East.
They do, actually, because they're the only ones in the Arab world who are standing up to the massacres and genocide that is going on in Gaza. So they're the only ones who are capable of sending missiles to Israel. So this thing is popular in the Arab world, whether we like it or not.
Some people are going to interpret your comments as you are supporting the Houthis, Samar. So what is it?
No, I am not, Ahmed.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
No, I told you. In the Arab world.
Admit it. Are you a Houthi fanatic supporter?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they like me also. Whenever I say something, sometimes on Twitter, they say, cover your hair.
Oh, really?
So religious people, I think, don't like me even when I come. Yeah. I don't know what time I said something and about Yemen, and they said, cover your hair. Like they don't like what I'm saying. So
that's
no
the way
worries.
to tell you.
I will never be afraid of labeled I am supporter of this or that.
But we are both against the genocide. The genocide is the most criminal thing that's happening. It's absurd. People, if you're out there, especially if you are a supporter or from the Jewish community, I think it's incumbent on you to speak out against this genocide, that you don't stand for it. This is just nonsense.
More and more people
never again should be never again for everybody. and no justification. Absolutely nothing justifies the killing of and massacring of so many people. This is just, it has to stop. And using starvation as a weapon, no, this is unacceptable. And I think it will make Israel and the Jewish people less safe in the future if this just continues like this. Anyway, we're out of time. The Scoop is next. Have a great weekend, everyone. WMNF Tampa. Take care.